Wonderful evening, everybody. Welcome to Changes online family support group. We decided that, the last couple of weeks, we've really focused on addiction with your loved one, the addicts, what they go through, how to understand addiction. So we thought it was time for us to look at the family. Addiction in the family. Why did it happen to us? I'm sure all of us at some point sat down and said, why me? Why my family? Why my loved one? Why 1 out of 4 children? Why 2 out of 4 children? How did this actually happen? The addict uses and the family gets sick. Think about that. The addict uses and we get sick. What does this mean for you? Who causes addiction? Who can cure addiction? And who can control addiction?
Tonight they're talking about an opportunity for the family to understand the disease of.
Okay, some myths and facts. Myth is that people think addiction is a bad habit, a result of moral weakness and overindulgence. Facts are addiction can be a chronic, life-threatening condition, and it has roots in genetic susceptibility, social circumstance, and personal behavior. Myth: if an addicted person has enough willpower, he or she can stop abusing alcohol or other drugs. Fact is most people addicted to alcohol and other drugs simply cannot stop using them, no matter how strong their inner resolve. Most need 1 or more courses of structured substance abuse treatment to reduce or end their dependence on alcohol and or other drugs. Myth: many people relapse, so treatment obviously doesn't work. Fact: like virtually any other medical treatment, addiction treatment cannot guarantee lifelong health, although nearly 1/3 of clients achieve abstinence from their first treatment attempt. Relapse, often a part of the recovery process, is always possible and treatable. I actually call relapse part of the addictive process. Even if a person never achieves perfect abstinence, addiction treatment can reduce the number and duration of relapses, minimize related problems such as crime and poor overall health, reduce the impact of parental addiction on children, improve the individuals and their families' ability to function in daily life, and strengthen the individual's ability to cope with the next temptation or craving. These improvements reduce the health, social, and economic costs of addiction. Okay, what are the symptoms of the family illness? Substance abuse affects and costs the individual, the family, and the community in significant measurable ways, including loss of productivity and unemployability, impairment in physical and mental health, reduced quality of life, increased crime, increased violence, abuse and neglect of children, impact in our homes, jobs, pets, friends, and society at large. By the time the person is addicted, we've noticed all the signs and have either been in denial, chosen to ignore it, and hope and pray that it just sorts itself out or goes away. It cannot happen this way if the person is an addict or alcoholic. What can I do if my loved one is an addict? I think the first thing is we mustn't classify it as a family disgrace. Recovery from addiction comes just about as it does with any other illness, but most of us are so ashamed that we have an addict in the family. And the sooner we can change our outlook and work within ourselves to deal with that shame, it needs to go. One of the biggest drives, I think, of most rehab centers around the world is trying to destigmatize the fact that addiction is a weakness or a badness, but it is in fact a family illness. Please don't nag, preach, or lecture. Chances are your loved one has already told him or herself everything you can tell them. They will only take in as much and shut out the rest. Nagging, preaching, and lecturing may increase their need to lie to you or may force them to make promises they cannot possibly keep. I think we all fall prey to this. We really nag them incessantly because we somehow hope that just one thing we're going to say, the penny is going to drop. Remember, this is an illness. It's not that they're weak. It's not that they're stupid. It's not that they can't absorb information. They just are ill with their disease. Number 3, please guard against the holier-than-thou attitude or martyr-like attitude. It's possible to create this impression without saying a word. The addicted person's sensitivity is such that he or she judges other people's attitudes toward them by small things than spoken words. We roll our eyes, we click our tongue, we look at them with disdain, we give them that vibration, the feeling. And that's really, it's not healthy. It's not healthy for us, and it's definitely not healthy for them. Number 4, try not to use the "if you love me" appeal. We all do it. We've all done it, but try and stop it. Addiction is a compulsive disease that's not controlled by willpower. This approach only increases the guilt. It's like saying, if you loved me, you wouldn't have TB. Please avoid threats. You think it through carefully and intend to carry through with them. Idle threats only make the addicted persons feel that you don't mean what you say. One of the most important things that the families need to learn is don't threaten. If you cannot follow through, don't say it, because you lose credibility, you lose the captive audience, they can't hear us, and their game is to manipulate and to drive a wedge. So when we make an idle threat, we're actually saying, carry on, do what you want to do, because what I say doesn't matter. Please do not hide their drugs or alcohol or throw them out. This only pushes the addicted person into desperation, and in the end, they will find new ways to get more. If you could please see whose mic was on.
I've muted it.
Thank you. I think at some point we've all tried to throw their drugs away. We've tried to minimize their using. We've tried to help them change. We didn't buy brandy. We gave them light beers. We hid it away. We confiscated it. We destroyed it. And they will always find ways of getting more. And they'll go to deeper levels to acquire what they need. Number 7, never let the addicted person persuade you to drink or use drugs with them on the grounds that it will help them use less. If you condone the drinking and drugging, it'll put them off from getting help. Try not to be jealous of the method of recovery the addicted person chooses. The tendency is to think that the love of the home and the family is enough incentive to seek recovery. However, it is frequently the motivation to regain self-respect that is more compelling for the addicted person rather than the resumption of family responsibilities. You may feel left out when the addicted person turns to others to help stay clean and sober. You wouldn't be jealous of the doctor of somebody needing medical care, would you? We see this so often. The family really believes that the culture of the family, the rock and anchor of the family, the children, the love of the parents, love of the grannies or the gogos, that's going to help them to clean up. We often see, like weekly, we have at least one family member that will sabotage the recovery process. Parents will say to us, I'm glad he's getting help, but you've got to send him home to me quickly because I miss him. I miss her. And send them back better. Send them back well. Firstly, 3 weeks is not enough time to send them back better, to send them back well. We've only just started the recovery process. And love is not enough to treat or cure or help an addiction. Number 9, do not confuse success with the absence of relapse. It's important to remain aware that relapse may be part of the process. In any illness, there are periods of relapse and convalescence. Basically, what we're really saying is somebody can be a dry drunk. Somebody cannot be using, but their behavior is exactly the same. And we'll do anything. The families and us ladies in particular, moms, will do absolutely anything to stop their relapse. But sometimes the relapse is necessary to bring them back into recovery. And I know it's a terrifying thought, because we've just gone and spent time and money and energy and we battle to get them into treatment. If they are not getting better on their own and they're not following through with all the suggestions that they learned in treatment, many of them will relapse. 10, don't try and protect the recovering person from drinking and using situations. It is their responsibility to judge which circumstances are dangerous for them. They also need to learn how to cope with situations that trigger them. If you warn people against serving alcohol, you may stir up feelings of resentment, embarrassment, and inadequacy. In the first 3 months, I suggest that you ask them, what do you need from me? How would you like me to help you with this social situation? Because if you march into somebody's house and say, Cheryl's sober, she's just come out of rehab, please don't serve her alcohol, I'm going to get embarrassed. I'm going to not be taking enough responsibility for my own recovery, and I'm going to feel very ashamed. So before you go into social situations, ask your loved one, how do you need me to be of support, rather than just going to announce it to the world. Do not do for the addicted person that which they could do for themselves. You cannot take the medicine for them. In other words, don't remove the problem before the addicted person can face it, resolve it, or suffer the consequences. I think when they come out of treatment, we're so on edge that we literally want to smooth the path ahead for them. We want to sweep it away. We want to warn people about it. We want to make life easy and simple. Addicted life isn't easy or simple, and neither is recovery. Life isn't really simple. The best way to do it is say to them, call your sponsor. Ask him or her what they would suggest. What did your counselor say in session? What did you learn in treatment? What are the tools available to you that you could actually use in your recovery? Do offer love, support, and the understanding. Addicts need to understand that if they continue to use, there are consequences and you will not support their lifestyle. However, if they choose recovery, you will be there every step of the way with them. So what we really mean when we say love and support, it's not doing things for them, love. It's not picking up the pieces. It's not smoothing the pathway. It's not telling people about their process. It's loving them enough to say no very often. It's loving them enough to say, what are your thoughts? What are your decisions? Because remember, if you make the wrong decision, the consequences are yours. I'm not going to be picking up the pieces. That's love. We confuse love with generosity, with them reciprocating. They're not really ready to yet. But we know for a fact, I know for a fact, that when an addict takes more and more responsibility, that's when their recovery can start taking momentum and can actually have a trajectory that's positive because they're taking more and more responsibility. So please don't mop up, take away their choices, don't take away their consequences. You're welcome to talk, tell them how you feel, tell them you are in a family support role, you're going to groups, you've got a therapist, you're going to 12-step meetings, you might get a sponsor, do the 12 steps. That's important, but not to do things for them for what that they should be doing for themselves. I've given you a little prayer here. And for those of us that may not have a Christian spirituality or aren't spiritual at all, please bear with me because it's a poem that I got many years ago, anonymous, but I think it's really powerful. Let go and let God. As children bring their broken toys with tears for us to mend, I brought my broken dreams to God because He is my friend. But then instead of leaving Him in peace to work alone, I hung around and tried to help with ways that were my own. At last, I snatched them back again and cried, "How could you be so slow?" My child, he said, "What could I do? You never did. Let it go." And that is a little prayer for us as family members of addicts, because we put our loved ones in rehab, but we try and dictate what their treatment process is going to be. I don't go to the mechanic and say, my fan belt is broken, but please don't put a new one in. Let's shine the car, because he'll think I'm mad. I'll say to him, fix my car. If I trust you enough to give you my important vehicle, then maybe you know a little bit more about this. Please go ahead and fix it. When loved ones come to us in treatment, they're constantly telling us what we need to do. They sabotage when we make suggestions. They can't hear us. They trust the addict when 3 weeks before or 2 weeks before, they would tell us he's a liar. She cannot tell the truth. She's impossible. And within 2 weeks, it's my little darling, my precious. She told me on the phone she's feeling better. Thank God, can she come home now? Please trust the people that you are asking to help them get better. Same with your higher power. If you want your higher power to create a miracle, you've got to step back and you've got to allow the natural process to unfold. If we know addiction is going to kill them, they know addiction is going to kill them. But if we meddle, we preventing a rock bottom, we should be rather bringing the bottom up so that, they can seek help quicker and hopefully with the right attitude. Earlier we spoke about who caused it, who can control it, and who can cure it. For all families in recovery, we talk about the three C's. The first one is you did not cause it. Second, you cannot control it. And third, it's not yours to cure. I think part of our family process is that we always believe, I think particularly the parents and the moms, we think, what did I do wrong? How did I cause this? Is it my divorce? Is it that I put him in grade 1 when he should have been going into grade 2? Is it that friend that I took him away from? None of us has the power to cause addiction. Even if we, the parent, gave them their first drink or drug, I still do not believe that we caused it, because some people use chemicals and they do not become addicted. Over the weeks, we've heard a lot about what is addiction and how is it manifest. And we know that there's a genetic predisposition, there's some family roots, there's cultural roots, there's societal roots, but no one factor causes it, including us. More importantly, we cannot control it. And I think all of us at some point when our loved ones were in active addiction, we would try to control it. We would either minimize their use, we would take money away, we would hide it, throw it away, lecture, beg, pray, scream, shout, manipulate, but we couldn't control it. And then thirdly, it's not ours to cure. If I have TB, I can't expect my family to cure my TB. I have to go and take the medication. I have to go for scans and tests. I need to protect myself. My family would be loving and kind, but they can't cure it for me. Tips for the family. Always present a united front. The one thing that every addict will do is split. It's a symptom of this disease. We see it from the minute they walk into treatment. We get collateral from you guys. We know the history. We know that the person who answered the phone has told us more or less what's been going on. And the very first day they'll say, oh, I can't stay too long because I've got children at home. But it was arranged, it was discussed with the family. And if they say to the family, oh, the counselor said, yes, I can stay for only 2 weeks, you're going to believe him. So presenting united front means slowing things down, not getting emotional, asking the questions. Say to him, when I have questioned everybody around you, I will get back to you with my answer. They will always split a soft parent and a tough parent. I call them marshmallow parents or marshmallow moms. The marshmallow mom will always be the one that's targeted because they will give them the instant gratification. Number 2, less is more. We as families always do more. We give too much. I use this story very often, and I hope the ladies on the group, but her loved one was in treatment a couple of years ago, and she came into treatment with a trommel, a big army trommel full of cold drinks, chips, cigarettes, and biscuits. And she sat down in group, and she was very worried about the trommel. And I asked her, what's this for? And she said, no, he asked me for a Coke. So I said, so why didn't you listen to him? He asked you for a Coke, one Coke. Why did you need to bring a trommel? And she started laughing. She said to me, you're right. It's just clicked that A, I don't listen, but B, I will give him more of everything, hoping that he's going to stop using. And one of the nicknames for addiction is the disease of more. So the addicts take more, they use more, they need more, and the family automatically falls into that trap where we do more, we give more, and it's all in the hope of making this damn thing go away. And it doesn't, it makes it worse. Number 3, we read about it earlier, never ever make an idle threat or promise. We do. You know, my dad used to say to my addicted brother, if you use it again, I'm going to knock your block off. And I used to say to him, what does that mean? He said, I'm going to beat him. So I said to him, it's not going to change. Are you actually going to beat him? And he said, no, but maybe if I threaten him enough. I said, rather start saying things that you know you're going to do, that you're going to follow through with. And it's the same with a promise. Please don't promise him things that you can't deliver. One of our patients many years ago, he spent, I think it was 12 weeks with us in treatment. And as he was leaving, he is coming into the outpatient program. And the first day it was his last day of treatment, first day in outpatient, his father bought him a car. And he used in this car that day, and he smashed the car. And I called his dad and I said to him, why are you doing this? He said, because I promised him. And he felt the guilt if you finish treatment successfully, I'll buy you a car. Don't say things that you can't do. And if they're not healthy, rather in treatment, say to them, I said this and I'm going to retract it because I didn't know any differently. I didn't know any better. Please, as of today, let this stick in your head. Don't ever make an idle threat or promise. Number 4, this one is very difficult for us to understand, but the opposite of what you think, that's the truth. So if they say to us, I'm feeling great, I'm wonderful, I'm ready to do this, thank you for sending me to treatment, and you think, oh, it's a miracle, it's going to happen. The opposite is actually true. It needs time, it needs commitment, it needs overtures. So whatever they tell us, it's the opposite of what they say is the truth, and what we think, the opposite of what we think, that's the truth. It takes many of us a long time, a very long time to change that, because we live in hope. We're addicted. We're addicted to our addicts. We're addicted to hope. When we take hope away, most family members crumble because that's all they have. They don't have anything else to go on except the hope. Number 5, never stop learning, getting help and support for yourselves. This family support group should be about 20,000 strong by now. But there's only probably, 30 or 40 of us on. And why is that? Because when our crisis is over, we tend to want to pull away. We don't want to believe that our crisis can return. We don't want to believe that our loved ones could relapse. And even if they don't relapse, we don't always know how to deal with this ill person, because this ill person is our loved one. It's somebody that we've given birth to, it's somebody we've adopted, it's somebody we've married, it's somebody we've chosen to live with, it's somebody we've chosen to date. And we are with them a lot time of the day, more time of the day than we are with our therapists, counselors, and sponsors. So if we don't become incredibly smart and really understand this disease, we're not helping our loved ones. One of the things I didn't write here, which I do think is incredibly important, is the need for instant gratification. It's our responsibility. It's what we teach them in treatment, and it's one of the first things that rehab centers try and get right, is delay gratification. From the first minute they walk in and they say, "Can I please use my phone?" And we say no. We're starting to teach them delayed gratification. There's a boundary, and you'll have to wait. After your 7 days, your counselor, your family, they would have been in touch. Then we can talk about using your phone. We're not being nasty. We're not being punitive. We're not trying to rob children of an opportunity to speak to their parents. Sorry. We're starting to help them learn how to delay gratification. And we as the families, we need to learn that too. I don't know if any of you can relate to this, but every time my brother was going into treatment, we would be driving like lunatics. We'd be shopping up a storm to bring him stuff. We would be have a deep sense of urgency to get him into treatment, because we thought, if we don't do it now, if we don't get this right now, he's going to carry on using. Well, he's carrying on using probably even in the back of the car without us even noticing it. But he picked up on our vibes, our movement, our urgency, our hysteria. And that made him incredibly manipulative, hysterical, impulsive, threatening. If you don't do this, I'm not going into rehab. If you don't give me that, I'm not going into rehab. And our need for instant gratification got me sick, got us sick, because they can't help us slow things down. Even when they go into treatment the first night or two, most families should be going, "Oh, thank goodness, there's a little bit of reprieve. There's some peace in this house." But no, we don't. We're worrying about what's going to happen on the phone call. What are we going to talk about when they phone? What am I going to tell the therapist when they call me the first time? Wonder what he needs. Oh, it's cold. I think he needs a blanket. I've had a nice piece of chicken for supper. I hope they're not feeding him horrible food. It's all part of that instant gratification. We tell the addicts, you're struggling with arrogance. And part of addressing the arrogance is teaching them how to delay gratification. So if you find that you're going through this right now, then chances are you might also be really struggling with the need for instant gratification. The pressure you put on us as a clinical team or rehab centers around the world is because the family has the need for instant gratification. I want it and I want it now. I sometimes have to say to parents, where do you think your kid learned it? And they say, no, I got it from him. Probably not. Their disease is about more. Our disease is about being addicted to them more and instant gratification. So please, those tips, 5 or 6 tips, try and remember them. Try write them down. If we need to put it up again just now when we're doing questions. But those are some of the things that will help you when your loved one goes into treatment, and definitely helps when they are out of treatment and trying to fight in recovery.